The great hall of the Valoran Senate had stood for 12,000 years. Its walls were made of black stone that absorbed light, and its ceiling rose so high that clouds sometimes formed beneath it. Today, 300 senators sat in their floating chairs, arranged in a perfect circle around the speaking platform. They wore robes of silver and gold, and their pale blue skin glowed softly in the dim light. They were the rulers of 400 worlds, and they feared nothing. Ambassador Thelos stood on the platform, alone. He was not Valoran. He was Mirathi shorter, with 4 arms and skin, the color of rust. His species had been part of the Empire for 600 years, ever since the Valoran conquest fleet had burned their cities and taken their world. The Mirathi were considered a lesser species. They were allowed to serve, but never to lead. So when Thelos had requested permission to address the full Senate, many had laughed. But High Counselor Vexen had allowed it, because he found the idea amusing. Thelos looked around the hall at the faces staring down at him. Some looked bored. Others looked annoyed that their time was being wasted. A few looked curious. None looked worried. That would change, Thelos thought. Or it would not, and the galaxy would burn. He took a deep breath and began to speak. 30 years ago, Thelos said, a Mirathi scout ship discovered a small planet on the outer edge of the galaxy. It was a blue world, covered mostly in water. The dominant species called it Earth, and they called themselves humans. A few senators shifted in their seats. They had heard of Earth. It was in the reports, a primitive world with crude technology, nuclear weapons, and chemical rockets. Nothing interesting. Our scouts observed them for several months, Thelos continued. They saw a species divided into nations that often fought each other. They saw pollution and poverty and war. They saw a people who had not yet left their own solar system. Our captain made a decision. He decided that humans were not worth our attention. He ordered the ship to leave. One. Thelos paused. His 4 hands were trembling slightly, and he pressed them together to stop it. The humans detected our ship. They should not have been able to. Our technology was far beyond theirs. But they did. And when our ship tried to leave, they followed. Not with ships of their own, with signals, radio waves, mathematics, prime numbers. Now a few more senators were paying attention. This was unusual. Most primitive species hid when they saw advanced technology. They did not chase it. Our captain ignored them, Thelos said. He completed his mission and returned home. He filed his report, and Earth was forgotten. For 5 years, nothing happened. Then one of our trading vessels was passing through that sector, and they detected something impossible. Thelos looked up at High Counselor Vexen, who sat on the highest platform, dressed in robes of pure white. Vexen's face showed no expression. The humans had built a ship, Thelos said. Not a crude rocket. A real ship, with engines that bent space. In 5 years, they had studied the energy signature of our scout vessel and figured out how our drives worked. They had built their own version. It was rough and inefficient, but it worked. Now there was murmuring in the hall. Several senators leaned forward. We made contact, Thelos said. We thought we could guide them, teach them. We shared some of our knowledge, the basics only, things we thought would take them decades to understand. His voice grew quieter. They learned our language in 3 months. Not just learned it, mastered it. They learned our mathematics in 6 months, our physics in a year. By the end of the 2nd year, they were teaching us things. They had taken our technology and improved it. They found inefficiencies we had never noticed in systems we had used for centuries. The murmuring grew louder. High Counselor Vexen raised one hand, and the hall fell silent. This is your warning? Vexen asked. His voice was deep and cold. That humans are quick learners? This is why you waste the Senate's time? No, Thelos said. I am here to warn you about what they are. He looked around the hall, meeting as many eyes as he could. The humans are not dangerous because they are violent, he said. Many species are violent. The humans are not dangerous because they are intelligent. Many species are intelligent. The humans are dangerous because they do not stop. They do not know how to stop. When they fail, they do not accept it. They try again, and again, and again. They adapt. They change. They find another way. Thelos stepped forward, his voice rising. We have studied them for 30 years. Do you know what we learned? They came from a world that tried to kill them. Ice ages, predators, plagues, disasters. Their own bodies are poorly designed. They are slow, weak, with no claws or armor. They should have died. Any reasonable species would have died. But they refused. They looked at a universe that wanted them dead, and they said no. He was almost shouting now. They do not conquer worlds, they become the world. They absorb everything they touch. They take it apart, learn how it works, and make it better. They are not a species. They are a force. And you cannot stop a force. You can only get out of its way. High Counselor Vexen stood up slowly. The hall was completely silent. Ambassador Thelos, Vexen said, the Valoran Empire has ruled this galaxy for 12,000 years. We have conquered 400 worlds. We have defeated species with technology that made them gods. We have crushed rebellions that spanned entire sectors. And you come here to tell us that we should fear 8 billion primitives on one small planet? Thelos stood his ground. Yes. Vexen smiled. It was not a kind smile. The Senate thanks you for your concern, he said. It has been noted. Earth will be integrated into the Empire within the year. The humans will be given a choice. Serve peacefully, or be pacified. This meeting is over. The senators began to rise, talking among themselves. Some were laughing. Thelos stood on the platform, watching them leave. His aide, a young Mirathi named Korath, approached him. Ambassador, Korath said quietly, you did what you could. Thelos shook his head slowly. No, he said. I did what I had to do. Now, it is out of my hands. He watched High Counselor Vexen leave the hall, surrounded by guards in golden armor. Mark this day, Thelos said quietly. Remember it. Because today, the Valoran Empire signed its death warrant. They just do not know it yet. Korath looked at his ambassador with wide eyes. You truly believe that? That the humans can defeat the Empire? Thelos turned to leave the hall. He suddenly felt very old and very tired. I believe, he said, that the Empire has made many mistakes in 12,000 years, but this is the first mistake they will not be able to fix. He walked out of the great hall and did not look back. Behind him, the Valoran senators laughed and joked and planned their easy conquest of Earth. None of them knew that they had just started a war they could not win. None of them knew that in the outer rim of the galaxy, on a small blue planet, 8 billion humans were waiting, and humans did not know how to lose. The sky over Seoul turned red at 3:47 inches the afternoon. Captain Park Do-hyun was eating lunch in the military cafeteria when his phone buzzed. Then every phone in the room buzzed. Then the alarm started. He ran to the command center, pushing through crowds of soldiers and officers, all moving in the same direction. The screens on the walls showed the same image from different angles. 200 ships hanging in space above Earth, each one larger than a city. They were black and shaped like blades, and they blocked out the stars. How long? Do-hyun asked. Colonel Kwan looked up from his console. His face was gray. They arrived 6 minutes ago. They are already broadcasting. The main screen flickered, and a face appeared. It was Valoran, pale blue skin, black eyes, a mouth full of small, sharp teeth. The alien wore white robes and spoke in perfect Korean. The translation technology was impressive, Do-hyun thought. The message was not. People of Earth, the alien said. I am Fleet Commander Torvax of the Valoran Empire. Your world has been selected for integration. You will surrender all military forces and government control within 6 hours. Your people will serve the Empire with loyalty and gratitude. Resist, and you will be pacified. This is not a negotiation. This is a kindness. You have 6 hours. The screen went dark. The command center was silent. Do-hyun could hear his own heartbeat. He looked around at the faces of his fellow officers. Some were afraid. Some were angry. Some looked like they wanted to cry. He understood. He felt all of those things too. But he also felt something else. Something that burned in his chest like a hot coal. He felt stubborn. Sir, he said to Colonel Kwan. What are our orders? Kwan shook his head. The world governments are meeting now. Everyone is talking. No one knows what to do. Then we need to buy time, Do-hyun said. Send a diplomatic team. Talk to them. Learn about them. Find their weaknesses. Kwan stared at him. You think they have weaknesses? Everything has weaknesses, Do-hyun said. We just need to find them. 3 hours later, a small shuttle left Earth carrying 4 people. Dr. Yoon Mirai was in charge. She was a linguist who had spent the last 10 years studying the Marathi language and culture. She was calm and smart and very good at making people talk. Lieutenant Kang Junho sat beside her. He was a tactical officer, former Special Forces, and he noticed things other people missed. In the back, Specialist Bae Eunji worked on her equipment. She was the best communications officer in the Korean military, and she had modified her scanner to look like a medical device. Captain Park Do-hyun flew the shuttle himself. He had insisted. Remember, Mirai said as they approached the Valoran flagship. We are here to talk, to learn, to buy time. We are not here to fight. Understood, Junho said. But his hand rested on his sidearm anyway. The flagship was even larger up close. The shuttle flew into a hangar that could have held 100 aircraft. Valoran soldiers waited for them, tall, armored, carrying weapons that glowed with blue light. They led the human team through corridors of black metal to a large chamber where Fleet Commander Torvax waited. He sat on a throne of dark stone, and he looked at the humans the way a person might look at insects. You came, Torvax said. Good. I expected you to spend your final hours crying and running. Perhaps humans are not complete cowards. Mirai bowed slightly. Fleet Commander, we come with gifts and questions. We wish to understand the Empire before we make any decisions. Torvax laughed. Decisions? You have no decisions to make. You have only one choice. Obey or die. Of course, Mirai said smoothly. But surely the Empire prefers willing servants to unwilling ones. Help us understand what we are joining, and we can help our people accept it. She opened a case and presented the gifts, paintings, sculptures, music recordings, books of poetry. Torvax looked at them with amusement. Primitive, he said. But interesting. Your species has some small creativity. While Mirai talked, Eunji worked. Her scanner hummed quietly as she swept it around the room, pretending to check for health hazards. She was actually mapping every system she could find: power sources, shield generators, communication networks. The Valoran technology was advanced, but it followed patterns. Everything followed patterns. And patterns could be broken. Junho stood silently, watching the guards. He counted weapons, noted positions, studied their movements. He saw that they were confident. Too confident. They did not see the humans as threats. That was useful. Mirai asked questions for 2 hours. She asked about the Empire's history, its culture, its achievements. Torvax answered with pride, boasting about conquered worlds and crushed rebellions. He did not realize that every answer gave the humans more information. Finally, Torvax grew bored. Enough, he said. You have seen our power. You have heard our terms. Return to your world and tell your leaders you have 48 hours now. Consider it a gift. Use the time to say goodbye to your old lives. Mireille bowed again. Thank you, Fleet Commander. Your mercy is appreciated. They returned to the shuttle in silence. Do-hyun flew them away from the flagship, and no one spoke until they were back in Earth's atmosphere. Then Eunji opened her scanner and smiled. I got it, she said. Their shields operate on a rotating frequency. But there is a pattern. Every 47 seconds, there is a gap, a specific frequency that the shields do not cover. The gap only lasts for half a second, but it is there. Junho leaned forward. Can we hit that gap? Not with our current weapons, Eunji said. But if we modify our nuclear missiles to match that frequency, then we can hurt them, Do-hyun said. Mireille looked at him. We have 12 ships against 200. Even if we can damage their shields, we cannot win. We do not need to win, Do-hyun said. We need to make them bleed. We need to show them that conquering Earth will cost more than it is worth. We need to make them afraid. Junho nodded slowly. No one has ever done that. No one has ever made the Empire retreat. Then we will be the first, Do-hyun said. They landed at the military base, and the information spread quickly. Engineers began working on the missiles. Pilots prepared their ships. Soldiers checked their weapons. All around the world, humans stopped waiting and started working. They had 48 hours. They would only need 36. In his quarters that night, Do-hyun wrote a letter to his mother. He told her that he loved her and that he was proud to serve. He told her not to be sad, because he was doing what he was born to do. He told her that humans did not know how to surrender, and that was a good thing. Then he sealed the letter and put it in his desk. He did not expect to send it. He expected to deliver his message in person. To the fleet commander, in fire and blood. The Valoran Empire thought they were coming to collect slaves. They did not know that they were walking into a war. The 12 ships of Earth's fleet launched at midnight. They were small and rough compared to the Valoran warships built quickly from stolen technology and human stubbornness. Each one carried a crew of 50 and enough weapons to fight for maybe an hour against superior numbers. The pilots knew the odds. They flew anyway. Captain Park Do-hyun commanded the lead ship, the Taeguk. Lieutenant Kang Junho was his tactical officer, and Specialist Bae Eunji ran communications. On the ground, Dr. Yoon Mireille coordinated with world governments and military forces. Everyone had a role. Everyone knew this might be their last day alive. All ships, Do-hyun said into his communicator. Remember the plan. We are not here to win. We are here to hurt them. Make every shot count. Make them remember us. 11 voices answered, understood. The Valoran fleet detected them immediately. Fleet Commander Torvax watched the 12 small ships approach his 200 warships. And he laughed. They are brave, he told his officers. I will give them that. Brave and stupid. Destroy them. 50 Valoran ships broke formation and moved to intercept. Their weapons charged with blue fire. They expected the battle to last 5 minutes. They were wrong. Do-hyun did not fly straight at the enemy. He dove toward Earth's moon, using its gravity to swing his ships around at high speed. The Valoran ships followed, but they were bigger and slower to turn. By the time they adjusted, the human ships were behind them. Now, Junho said, all 12 ships fired at once. The missiles were not aimed at the Valoran ships directly. They were aimed at the spaces between them, exploding in patterns that scattered debris and sensor interference. The Valoran shields flickered, confused by multiple threats. Again, Do-hyun ordered. More missiles, more chaos. The Valoran ships began to spread out, trying to get clear shots at the humans. But every time they moved, the human ships moved faster. They darted between asteroids and satellites. They used Earth's own space junk as cover. They fought like they had nothing to lose, because they did not. On the Valoran flagship, Torvax stopped laughing. What are they doing? He demanded. Why are they not dying? They are using guerrilla tactics, his tactical officer reported. They know they cannot match our firepower, so they are avoiding direct engagement. They are very creative. Then stop being creative and crush them, Torvax snarled. Send more ships. 50 more Valoran warships joined the attack. 100 against 12. The humans should have been overwhelmed. But Unji had been right. The Valoran shields had a weakness. Every 47 seconds, for half a second, there was a gap. The modified missiles found that gap. The first Valoran cruiser exploded at 0:47 hours. On the bridge of the Teguk, Junho reported the kill with a fierce smile. Direct hit. Their shields went down, and the reactor went critical. They are gone. One down, Do-hyun said. 199 to go. The battle continued. The human ships took damage. One lost its engines. Another lost weapons control. But they kept fighting. They kept finding gaps in the Valoran formation. Kept hitting the shield frequency weakness. Kept refusing to die. By 1:30, 3 more Valoran cruisers had been destroyed. By 2, the number was 7. On Earth, Mireille watched the battle on her screens and felt tears on her face. She had never seen anything so terrible or so beautiful. 12 ships against an empire. 12 crews who knew they would probably die, and fought anyway. Missile launchers ready, reported the ground commander. Waiting for your signal. Mireille had one more card to play. Earth's nuclear arsenal had been modified like the ship-based missiles, all of them tuned to the Valoran shield frequency. Thousands of warheads waited in silos around the world. Not yet, Mireille said. Wait for my signal. At 2:30, the tide began to turn. Torvax had finally committed his full fleet, all 200 ships, surrounding the 12 human vessels. There was nowhere left to run. All ships, Do-hyun said. It has been an honor. Sir, Junho said quietly. 4 of our ships are gone. 3 more are badly damaged. We cannot continue. Do-hyun looked at the tactical display. 8 human ships left against nearly 200 enemy vessels. The math was simple. The math was death. Signal the ground forces, he said. Tell Mireille to launch. The message reached Earth in seconds. Mireille closed her eyes, took a breath, and gave the order. Launch everything. Across the planet, silos opened. Missiles rose into the sky, thousands of them. A swarm of fire and fury. They climbed through the atmosphere and into space, aimed at the Valoran fleet. The aliens had never seen anything like it. What is that? Torvax demanded. Nuclear weapons, his officer reported. Thousands of them. They are targeting our entire fleet. Shoot them down. The Valoran ships opened fire, destroying missiles by the hundreds. But there were too many, coming too fast. And these missiles were not ordinary weapons. They hit the shield frequency gap. One after another. Valoran shields failed. Valoran ships burned. In 10 minutes, 40 Valoran ships were destroyed. Torvax stared at his screens in disbelief. This was not possible. This was not how war worked. Primitive species did not destroy Valoran warships. They did not fight back. They surrendered or they died. Sir, his officer said, we have lost 47 ships. Our formation is broken. We need to regroup. No, Torvax said. No retreat. Destroy them all. Destroy the planet if you have to. But it was too late for that. On the Teguk, Captain Park Do-hyun saw his chance. His ship was dying, engines failing, weapons nearly empty, hull breached in 3 places. Half his crew was dead, but the Valoran flagship was close, and its shields were down. Everyone off the ship, Do-hyun ordered. Get to the escape pods. Now. Junho grabbed his arm. Sir, what are you doing? What I have to do, Do-hyun said. Go. The crew evacuated. Junho was the last to leave, and he looked back at his captain one final time. Do-hyun sat alone at the controls, bleeding from a wound on his head, smiling. Tell Mireille I am sorry I could not take her to dinner, Do-hyun said. Tell her we won. Then he closed the airlock and flew his ship straight at Torvax's flagship. The Valoran point defense guns fired at him. They hit his ship again and again, tearing off pieces, breaking it apart. But the Taeguk kept coming. Do-hyun kept flying. He was not aiming for the hull, he was aiming for the reactor core. This is Captain Park Do-hyun of the Korean Space Defense Force. He broadcast on all frequencies. This message is for the Valoran Empire. We do not kneel. We do not surrender. And we never, ever, stop fighting. Remember that. The Taeguk hit the flagship's reactor at full speed. The explosion was visible from Earth. When the fire cleared, Torvax's flagship was gone. The fleet commander survived. He had escaped to another ship, but his command vessel was destroyed. The symbol of Valoran power was burning debris. The remaining Valoran ships stopped firing. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then, for the first time in 2,000 years, a Valoran conquest fleet retreated. On Earth, Mireille watched them go. She was shaking. She was crying. She was also smiling. We did it, she whispered. Do-hyun. We did it. The humans had lost 8 of their 12 ships and thousands of lives. But they had destroyed 47 Valoran warships and the fleet commander's flagship. They had driven back an empire that had never been driven back before. The message spread across the galaxy within hours. A primitive species had hurt the Valoran Empire. A single world had fought back and survived. Everything was different now. Everything had changed. And in the stars, watching from his ship, Ambassador Thalos heard the news and nodded slowly. I warned them, he said quietly. I told them humans were too dangerous. He looked out at the distant light of Earth. Now, the whole galaxy knows it. 5 years changed everything. Admiral Yoon Mireille stood on the bridge of the Do-hyun's Resolve, the flagship of the United Terran Fleet. Through the viewport, she could see 3,000 ships in formation, human vessels and allied craft from 12 different species. Behind them, Earth glowed blue and green and white. The same small planet that had once seemed so helpless. It did not seem helpless anymore. Commander Kang Junho stood beside her, reviewing tactical data on his screen. His hair had gone gray at the temples, and there were new scars on his hands. 5 years of war did that to a person, but his eyes were still sharp, and his mind was still fast. The fleet is ready, he reported. All ships at full power. All weapons charged. Mireille nodded. And the allies? The Mirathi contingent is in position. The Cathari fighters are on standby. The Vorath heavy cruisers are covering our flanks. Junho paused. They are all waiting for your order, Admiral. It still felt strange, being called Admiral. 5 years ago, she had been a linguist, a professor who studied alien languages and cultures. Now she commanded the largest fleet ever assembled against the Valoran Empire. War did that to a person too. The door opened, and Director Bae Eunji walked in. She looked tired, but satisfied. She always looked that way these days. The network is active, she said. All 200 cells are standing by. When you give the signal, they will begin. Eunji no longer worked in communications. She ran the Terran Intelligence Network, a web of spies and operatives spread across Valoran space. For 5 years, she had been placing agents on conquered worlds, making contacts with resistance groups, teaching enslaved species how to fight back. Now, all of that work was about to pay off. 200 worlds, Mireille said quietly. 200 uprisings, all at once. The Empire will not know what hit them, Eunji said. In the engineering bay, Cho Tae-woo checked his equipment one final time. He was the chief architect of humanity's new technology, the man who had taken Valoran science and made it better. His greatest invention was the persistence drive, an engine system that could keep a ship running long after it should have been destroyed. The Empire's ships stopped fighting when they were damaged. Human ships kept going. Engine status? Tae-woo asked his team. All drives at 100%, his assistant reported. Redundant systems are online. We can take anything they throw at us. Tae-woo smiled. Taking punishment and getting back up, that was what humans did best. In the fighter bay, Captain Shin Hana climbed into her cockpit. She was the leader of Ghost Squadron, the best pilots in the fleet. Her record was 47 kills, more than any other pilot in human history. She was 28 years old and already a legend. Ghost Squadron, she said into her communicator. Check in. 11 voices answered, one by one. They were ready. They were always ready. Remember, Hana said. We hit fast, and we hit hard. Break their lines, clear the path, and get out before they can react. We are ghosts. They will not see us until it is too late. On the bridge, Mireille received the final reports. All ships ready. All allies in position. All agents standing by. The largest military operation in galactic history was about to begin. She thought about Do-hyun. She thought about him every day. His smile. His courage. His absolute refusal to give up. He had died to give humanity a chance. She would not waste it. Open a channel, she said. Broadcast to the entire empire. The communications officer nodded. Mireille looked into the camera. She knew that billions of beings would see this message. Velaran rulers, enslaved populations, allied species, and humans, scattered across the stars. This is Admiral Yoon Mireille of the United Terran Alliance, she said. I am speaking to the Velaran Empire and to all the worlds under its control. She paused, choosing her words carefully. 5 years ago, you came to our world. You told us to kneel. You told us to serve. You told us that resistance was pointless, that the Empire always wins. She leaned forward. You were wrong. We did not kneel. We fought. We bled. We lost people we loved. And we drove you back. For the first time in 2,000 years, a Valoran fleet retreated. For the first time, the galaxy saw that the Empire could be hurt. In 5 years, we have built a fleet. We have made allies. We have learned your secrets and improved on them. We are not the primitive species you thought we were. We are something you have never seen before. Her voice hardened. But we did not come here to conquer. We did not come to enslave. We came to free every world you have ever touched, every species you have chained, every people you have crushed. We came to end 12,000 years of tyranny. To the Velaran High Council. Surrender your conquered worlds. Release your slaves. Dismantle your war machine. Do this, and there will be peace. Refuse, and we will come for you. To the enslaved peoples of the Empire, your time has come. Rise up, fight back. You are not alone anymore. The United Terran Alliance stands with you. Help is coming. She stood straight, and her voice filled the bridge. My name is Admiral Yoon Mireille. My species is human. And we do not know how to lose. The transmission ended. Silence filled the bridge for a moment. Then, Junho spoke. That was a good speech. Mireille almost smiled. I hope the Empire was listening. They were listening, Unji said. And so was everyone else. Across the galaxy, the message spread. On Valoran worlds, rulers watched with anger and fear. On conquered planets, enslaved beings watched with hope. On allied ships, crews cheered and raised their weapons. The war was about to begin for real. But before the first shot was fired, High Counselor Sereth of the Velaran Empire sent a reply. His face appeared on the main screen, old and cold, with eyes that had seen centuries of conquest. Admiral Mireille, Sereth said, you are a fool. The Empire has crushed rebellions before. We will crush yours. Your fleet is large, but ours is larger. Your allies are many, but they are weak species who joined you out of desperation. You cannot win. End Mireille shook her head slowly. That is your mistake, she said. You still think this is about winning. It is not. It is about refusing to stop. You can beat us today, and we will come back tomorrow. You can destroy our ships, and we will build more. You can kill our soldiers, and more will take their place. We do not care about winning. We care about never giving up. She leaned toward the screen. And eventually, you will get tired. Your people will get tired. Your slaves will get tired of being slaves. And we will still be here. Still fighting. Still coming. That is what we do. That is what we are. Sereth stared at her for a long moment. You are insane, he said. Maybe, Mireille replied. But we are also free. And soon, the whole galaxy will be too. She cut the transmission. All ships, she said, move out. It is time to end an empire. 3,000 ships began to move toward Velaran space. Behind them, Earth shone like a beacon. Ahead of them, a galaxy waited to be freed, and in the hearts of every human in the fleet, a fire burned, the same fire that had kept their species alive through ice ages and plagues and disasters. The fire that refused to go out. The fire that would burn until the last Valoran chain was broken. The Valoran homeworld burned beneath a sky full of war. Admiral Yoon Mireille watched the battle from the bridge of the Dohyun's Resolve, her hands gripping the railing. 3,000 Alliance ships fought against 8,000 Velaran warships in the largest space battle the galaxy had ever seen. Explosions bloomed like flowers of fire. Ships broke apart and scattered into debris. Hundreds of thousands of beings were dying every minute. And still they fought. Status report, Mireille ordered. Commander Kang Junho checked his screens. His voice was calm, the way it always was in combat. We have lost 400 ships. The Valoran fleet has lost over 2,000. Their formation is breaking. They are trying to pull back to defend the orbital stations. Do not let them regroup. Press the attack. The Alliance fleet surged forward. Human ships led the charge, their persistence drives, keeping them in the fight, even as they took damage. Behind them came the Marathi cruisers, the Keth Ari fighters, the Vorath heavy ships, 12 species, united against a common enemy. It had never happened before in galactic history. It was happening now. In the fighter bay of a carrier ship, Captain Shin Hana led Ghost Squadron through the enemy lines. Her ship danced between Velaran warships, too fast to track, too quick to hit. She had already killed 6 ships today. She would kill more before it was over. Ghost, 7, you have 3 on your tail, she called out. I see them, came the reply, taking evasive action. Negative. Keep flying straight. I am coming. Hana swung her fighter around and dove at the 3 Valoran ships. She fired twice, and 2 of them exploded. The third tried to run, but she was faster. She always was. Ghost 7, you are clear. Thank you, Captain. You owe me 12 drinks, but we will count later. Keep moving. On the surface of the Valoran homeworld, uprisings had already begun. Director Bei Unji's network had done its work. Slaves in the factories had seized control. Servants in the government buildings had locked the doors. Workers in the power plants had shut down the generators. 12,000 years of empire, and it was falling apart from the inside. Unji monitored the situation from her station on the flagship. 80% of the planet's infrastructure is offline, she reported. The Valoran military is spread too thin. They are trying to fight us in space and control the rebellions on the ground at the same time. They cannot do both. Good, Mireille said. What about the orbital defense platforms? Still active. They are protecting the High Council's station. We cannot get close enough to board. Mireille studied the tactical display. The defense platforms were massive structures, armed with weapons that could destroy a ship in a single shot. As long as they were operational, the High Council was safe. She made a decision. Captain Shin, she said into her communicator, I need Ghost Squadron to take out those platforms. There was a brief silence. Then Hana's voice came back, calm and steady. Understood, Admiral. We are on our way. Ghost Squadron broke away from the main battle and headed for the platforms. 12 fighters against 6 massive defense stations. The odds were terrible. Hana smiled. She liked terrible odds. Ghost Squadron, listen up, she said. We go in fast and low. Hit the power cores and get out. Do not try to be heroes. Just get the job done. Copy that, Captain. They dove toward the platforms, weaving through a storm of defensive fire. Ghost 3 took a hit and spun out of control. Ghost 9's wing was torn off, but the pilot kept flying on maneuvering thrusters alone. They were losing people. They kept going anyway. Hana reached the first platform and fired her missiles into its core. The explosion was massive, sending debris in all directions. 1. Down. Ghost Squadron, report. Ghost 4, target destroyed. Ghost 8, target destroyed. Ghost 12 is down. Hana closed her eyes for a second. Then she opened them and flew toward the next platform. When it was over, all 6 platforms were destroyed. Ghost Squadron had lost 5 pilots. The path to the High Council station was clear. Admiral, Junho said, we have an opening. We can board the station. Mireille nodded. Prepare a strike team. Commander, you are leading it. Junho stood. He had been waiting for this. Understood. The boarding shuttle launched 15 minutes later, carrying 50 soldiers from Earth and allied species. Junho was at the front, his weapon ready. He had not fired a gun in person for 3 years. He was looking forward to it. The shuttle crashed into the station's docking bay, and the team poured out. Velaran guards met them with weapons blazing. But the Alliance soldiers pushed through. They fought down corridors and up stairways, taking casualties but never stopping. Humans did not stop. Junho reached the council chamber first. He kicked open the doors and found High Counselor Sereth waiting for him, surrounded by 6 guards in golden armor. You are too late, Sereth said. I have already sent the evacuation order. My ships will. Your ships are on fire, Junho interrupted. Your fleet is broken. Your empire is falling. You have nothing left. Serath's face twisted with rage. You are primitives, animals. You do not have the right to. We have the right to be free, Junho said. Everyone does. That is what you never understood. The guards raised their weapons, but Junho's team was faster. In 3 seconds, it was over. The guards were down, and Serath stood alone. What are you? Serath asked. His voice was quiet now, almost confused. No species has ever done this. No one has ever beaten us. What are you? Junho walked forward until he was face to face with the High Counselor. We are human, he said. We do not know how to stay beaten. He took Sereth by the arm and led him out of the chamber. Behind them, Alliance soldiers began securing the station and releasing prisoners. The war was not over. There would be more fighting, more dying, more long years of work. But the heart of the Empire had fallen. The news spread across the galaxy in minutes. On every Velaran world, the fighting stopped. On every enslaved planet, people looked up at the sky and realized they were free. 12,000 years of tyranny, ended by a species that had only been in space for 35 years. A species that did not know how to give up. 3 days later, Admiral Yoon Mireille addressed the galaxy. She stood on a platform above the ruins of the Velaran Senate, with representatives from all the freed worlds gathered before her. The war is over, she said. The Veloran Empire has fallen. Every world they conquered is now free to choose its own path. She looked out at the crowd, thousands of faces from hundreds of species, all watching her. We did not come here to rule you, she said. We came because no one should be ruled. Build your worlds. Choose your futures. Make your own mistakes, and find your own triumphs. And if anyone ever tries to take that from you again, she smiled, call us. The crowd erupted in cheers. Mireille stepped back and let the moment wash over her. She thought about Do-hyun, about all the people who had died to make this day possible. She hoped they were proud. Junho stepped up beside her. "We did it," he said. "We actually did it." "We did," she agreed. "Now comes the hard part." "What is that?" "Peace." Far away, on a Mirathi ship, Ambassador Thelos watched the broadcast with tears in his eyes. He was old now. Older than he had ever expected to be. He had thought the Empire would last forever. He had been wrong. His aide Korath sat beside him. "Ambassador, are you well?" Thelos wiped his eyes. "I am well. I am better than well." "You warned them," Korath said. 20 years ago, you told the Empire that humans were too dangerous. They did not listen." "No," Thelos said. "They did not. Do you regret it? That they did not listen?" Thelos was quiet for a long moment. He looked at the screen, at Admiral Mireille and the freed peoples of the galaxy, at the ruins of an empire that had crushed his own world 600 years ago. "No," he said finally. "I do not regret it. I thought dangerous was a bad thing. I was wrong. Sometimes the galaxy needs something dangerous. Sometimes it needs a species that does not know how to quit." He looked at Earth, shining in the distance like a small blue star. "Humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy," he said. "Thank the stars, they are also the most free." He leaned back in his chair and smiled. The galaxy had changed forever, and humanity was just getting started.